Hello ladies and gentlemen, enjoy today's episode of Genesis of Lands. Watch, listen and learn, and don't forget to click the subscribe button and comment below on what you feel about today's video. Thank you very much.
There's a magical city in Africa where books were more valuable than gold, where grandparents hid ancient manuscripts in secret rooms to keep them safe, where a king once gave away so much gold that he broke the economy of an entire country, where scholars traveled across deserts for months just to study in the greatest library in the world. This is Timbuktu, a city in the country of Mali. A place that sounds like a made-up name from a storybook, but it's real. Very real. And 600 years ago, it was one of the smartest, richest, and most important cities on planet Earth. But here's what makes it even more amazing. When bad people tried to destroy all those precious books in 2012, everyday heroes risked their lives to save them. They smuggled hundreds of thousands of manuscripts to safety, because they knew something important. When you destroy books, you destroy history. And history is what helps us remember who we are. So how did a city in the middle of the desert become the home of over 700,000 ancient books? And why did people treasure books even more than treasure itself? A long time ago, around the year 1100, there was no city called Timbuktu yet. Just desert nomads who traveled with their camels. These were people called the Sanhaja. During the hot, dry season, they would bring their camels to drink from the Niger River. During the rainy season, they would take their animals inland to find grass. One family left an old woman named Buktu to watch over their camping spot while they were away. The other nomads would say, "Let's go to Timbuktu," which means the place of Buktu in their language. Over time, people started calling that spot Timbuktu. And a city was born from a grandmother watching a campsite. But why did people keep coming back? Because Timbuktu sat in the most perfect spot imaginable. Imagine you have two groups of people who need to trade with each other. One group lives in the desert up north and has lots of salt. The other group lives in the forest down south and has lots of gold. Where would they meet? Right in the middle. And Timbuktu was exactly in the middle. So traders came from all directions. They brought salt from the Sahara Desert. They brought gold from the southern forests. They brought cloth, spices, books, and even tea. Timbuktu became like a giant marketplace where people from different parts of Africa and even from faraway places like Egypt and Spain would meet to trade. And guess what the most expensive thing to buy in Timbuktu was? Not gold. Not jewels. Books. An old history book called the Tariq el-Fatish tells us that one king bought a dictionary for the price of 2 horses. That's how much people love books. Now let me tell you about the most famous person in Timbuktu's history. A king named Mansa Musa. Mansa means king or emperor. His name was Musa, which is the same as Moses. He became the ruler of the Mali Empire in 1312. That's over 700 years ago. Mansa Musa was probably the richest person who ever lived. Richer than any billionaire you've heard of today. His kingdom had so much gold that it supplied 2/3 of all the gold in the entire world at that time. Can you imagine? In 1324, Mansa Musa decided to go on a pilgrimage. That's a special religious trip that Muslims make to a holy city called Mecca. All Muslims try to make this trip at least once in their lives if they can. But Mansa Musa didn't just go on a normal trip. He traveled with 60,000 people. That's like taking an entire small town with you on vacation. He brought 12,000 slaves dressed in fancy silk clothes. He brought 80 to 100 camels, and each camel carried about 300 pounds of gold. That's heavier than 2 grown-ups. As Mansa Musa traveled across Africa toward Mecca, he gave away gold to everyone he met. Poor people. Merchants, other rulers. He built a mosque in every city he stopped at on Fridays. He was so generous that he actually caused a problem. In Egypt, he gave away so much gold that gold became less valuable. It's like if someone gave everyone in your school 1,000,000 toy cars. Suddenly, toy cars wouldn't be special anymore. The gold problem in Egypt lasted for more than 10 years. When Mansa Musa finally got to Mecca and completed his pilgrimage, he met a very special person. An architect from Spain named Abu Ishaq al-Sahili. An architect is someone who designs buildings. Mansa Musa was so impressed by this man that he gave him about 440 pounds of gold to come back with him to Mali. What? Because Mansa Musa wanted to build something amazing in Timbuktu. When Mansa Musa returned home, he brought al-Sahili and other scholars with him. He told them, "I want to make Timbuktu the greatest center of learning in the world." And that's exactly what he did. Al-Sahili built the Jingareber Mosque in 1327. A mosque is a place where Muslims pray. But this wasn't just any mosque. It was built from mud and wood, But it was so beautiful and so well made that it still stands today almost 700 years later. It became a place where people could pray and study. Mansa Musa also helped build Sankor University. Imagine a university with 25,000 students, all studying together. No computers, no internet, just books, teachers, and students who loved learning. Students came from all over Africa, the Middle East, and even Europe to study in Timbuktu. They studied math, science, medicine, astronomy, learning about stars and planets, law, history, geography, and religion. Professors wrote their own books. Copyists carefully copied manuscripts by hand. It could take months to copy just one book. Here's something really cool. One famous scholar named Ahmed Baba said something that people still remember today. He said, "On the day of judgment, the ink of the scholars will be measured against the blood of the martyrs, and it will be weightier." That means knowledge and learning are just as important and brave as fighting in battles. Families in Timbuktu collected books like some people collect toys or baseball cards. The richest families had the biggest libraries. They passed these libraries down from parents to children to grandchildren. Some books had a warning written on the first page. This book may not be shared as inheritance or sold. That meant the book had to stay in the family forever. Buying books was a way of showing people you were smart and successful. Rich families hired special copyists to copy books for them. These copyists were also calligraphers, which means they wrote in beautiful, fancy letters. They wrote about 140 lines per day, and proofreaders checked about 170 lines daily to make sure there were no mistakes. People traded books from Egypt, Morocco, and all over the Islamic world. When scholars went on pilgrimage to Mecca, they would stop in Cairo on the way back and buy or copy more books to bring home. Timbuktu had more books than some cities have people. A man who visited Timbuktu in the 1500s named Leo Africanus wrote that the book trade was the most important business in the whole city. Think about that. In a city where people sold gold, salt, cloth, and precious things, books were the most valuable. The manuscripts in Timbuktu covered every subject you can imagine. Math problems with examples showing addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Books about astronomy teaching how to use the stars to know what season it was. Medical books about how to help sick people. Law books about fairness and rights. History books telling the stories of kings and empires. Poetry about love and nature. Even books about whether it was okay to drink tea and smoke tobacco. These weren't just books in Arabic. Some were written in African languages like Fula, Songhai, and Bambara. They proved that African people had their own writing systems and kept their own records. For a long time, some people said Africa didn't have written history. These manuscripts prove that's completely wrong. Timbuktu stayed powerful and famous for about 200 years. Then in 1591, soldiers from Morocco invaded. The city's golden age ended. Many scholars were forced to leave. Some libraries were destroyed. The great scholar Ahmed Baba had to watch as much of his huge library burned. After that, Timbuktu slowly became less important. In 1894, French colonizers took over the region. They made French the main language, which meant many families couldn't read their own manuscripts anymore because they were written in Arabic and African languages. The manuscripts started to disappear. Some were sold. Some were damaged by floods or insects or fire. The world almost forgot about Timbuktu's incredible library of knowledge. But the families of Timbuktu never forgot. For hundreds of years they kept their manuscripts hidden, passed them down from generation to generation, kept them in private libraries and secret rooms, kept the knowledge safe even when times were hard. Then in 2012, something terrible almost happened. Bad people called militants took over northern Mali. They thought the old manuscripts were against their religion. They started burning books and destroying anything old. Imagine someone coming into a library and setting fire to every book. That's what was happening. But a hero appeared. His name was Abdul Qadir Haidara. He was the curator of one of Timbuktu's most important libraries. A curator is someone who takes care of and protects special collections. Abdul Qadir's family had been taking care of manuscripts for generations. His father did it, his grandfather did it, and now it was his turn. Abdul Qadir organized a secret rescue mission. With the help of local families and brave volunteers, they smuggled over 350,000 manuscripts out of Timbuktu. They hid them in metal trunks. They loaded them onto donkeys, boats, and vehicles. They moved them through dangerous areas where the militants could catch them at any moment. Getting caught meant death. But Abdul Qadir and his team succeeded. They moved the manuscripts to Bamako, the capital city of Mali, where they were safe. It took months of dangerous work, but they saved most of Timbuktu's treasures. Today, some of those manuscripts are in the Mama Haidara Library in Bamako, named after Abdul Qadir's father. In 2022, Google Arts and Culture created an online collection so people all around the world can see these amazing manuscripts on their computers. The manuscripts that survived range from the 11th century, over 1,000 years old, to the 20th century. Between 400,000 and 500,000 manuscripts still exist today. They're kept in family libraries across Mali. They're evidence that Africa had a rich tradition of writing, learning, and scholarship long before Europeans arrived. Timbuktu today is not the big rich city it once was. But it's still there. The Jingareber Mosque still stands. The mud walls that Mansa Musa built still rise toward the sky. Families still protect their ancient manuscripts. And scholars from around the world still study the books that prove Africa's glorious history of learning. From a campsite watched by an old woman named Buktu to the richest king in history to the greatest university in Africa to a secret rescue mission to save precious books. Timbuktu is proof that knowledge is treasure. That books are worth more than gold. That stories and history matter so much that people will risk their lives to protect them. So here's a question for you. If you could only save one thing from your house in an emergency, what would you choose? A toy? A photo? A favorite book? The people of Timbuktu chose books. Because books hold memories. Books hold wisdom. Books hold the stories of who we are and where we came from. When you go to a library or read a book, remember Timbuktu. Remember that people once traveled across deserts for months just to read books in that city. Remember that a king gave away tons of gold but brought back an architect to build places for learning. Remember that brave people risked everything to save manuscripts from burning. Timbuktu teaches us that the most valuable thing in the world isn't money or gold or fancy things. It's knowledge. It's learning. It's the wisdom written in books that gets passed down from generation to generation. That's why families wrote on their manuscripts, "This book may not be sold." Because some things are too precious to trade for anything. Some things must be protected forever. Some things must be passed down so that children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren will always remember. Timbuktu, the city of books, where salt met gold, where a king gave away treasure and built universities, where 700,000 manuscripts survived centuries of floods, fires, and wars, where everyday heroes became book smugglers to save history itself. And those books? They're still being read today, still teaching us, still reminding us that Africa had brilliant scholars, amazing cities, and a tradition of learning that the whole world should know about. That's the magic of Timbuktu. It's not just a city, it's a reminder that knowledge never dies. It just waits in secret rooms and family libraries until someone brave enough comes along to share it with the world again.